Hi, everybody. So I want to introduce you to somebody new today. And Tommy Truthful is here with me, and he is Jimmy Schwinn's son. And we're doing a project together. So I'm really excited. And he's in the middle of facial like reconstruction with his teeth. So he's not going to be seen on camera today. But I am very excited for this conversation. So how you doing today, Tommy?
Good. How you doing, honey? I'm excited to be here with you. Very
Me
excited for
too.
this conversation.
Me too. I'm really excited. And I'm excited for the masculine awakening that's going on. And I'm excited to hear your story. You're a little younger than I am, and you've been going through like a massive awakening, seems like to me, and having some pretty big experiences. So tell me a little bit about how it all started.
Well, I'm 42 years old and I've been doing this now since I started podcasting around 2017 area. And when I really started having my awakening experience was after I did a DMT session with one of my friends. They up here in Ohio, they have, well, that's where I live in Canton, Ohio right now. And they have these Native American places where you can go, and it's kind of like legal for them because it's part of their church and their religion. And after I had that experience, I started definitely seeing reality a different way because I think, like me and you talked about a little before the show, the death of the ego, you experience that, and it just makes you see the truth. There's a lot of programming that we've went through our whole life that's starting to fall away right now. And that really led me into doing what I'm doing now. And I just, one day I decided just to do a video and I was walking around my neighborhood doing a video and giving my thoughts on my perspectives on some things, and it just went viral. And then from there, I continued to do it. I really enjoy helping people and waking people up and exposing, bringing light to the darkness, exposing some of the things that are going on in the world. And I think it's getting much better right now than it was when I first started. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started with it all. It was that experience, and um the more I've raised my vibration, the more I've felt these like downloads. And I told you in our WhatsApp group the other day I had this crazy dream that seemed so freaking real. When I woke up, I kind of couldn't go back to sleep because it really freaked me out. But I had, how it started out is I had like this sleep paralysis and I felt like I was awake and I couldn't move. But out of the corner of my eye, I could see something was standing there. And it looked like, the only way I can describe it is it looked like it was a humanoid entity that looked like Mercury. You know what
Mhm.
Mercury looks like? It looked like
Yeah.
that type of fluid, and it grabbed my hand. And I remember at first I was really like scared, and it didn't speak to me how we're speaking right now through my mouth. It just, I could understand what it was saying like telepathically, and it told me not to be scared and took my hand, and we just shot up through my roof. And then it showed me um the whole world was being destroyed. And at that point, I was like, man, what is going on with this? And but after that, I seen, from the ashes of that, I seen a phoenix rise up and then recreate this beautiful world. And it just told me telepathically that you have to destroy the old to create the new. And I'm deadly afraid of heights, by the way. And that's the one thing I noticed the whole time I really wasn't scared that I was that high up, and then it just let go of my hand and it's like I fell back into my body and I woke up. It was the bizarrest dream I've ever had. And I reached out to you guys the next day because I was like so confused by it.
Hmm. Yeah. To me, it was an astral experience. And the first one that I ever had actually happened in a really similar way. And I had just finished the death of ego, and I was pulled from my body and pulled up into the, like, above the earth, over the top of the ice dome. But it was really clear, so I could see right through it, but I could see the land beyond the dome. And we were only on probably like a quarter of the top of the earth. And the earth was just inhabited on the top and also on the bottom. And that's information that I came up with later, but it's an aspect of you that will lead you to those experiences. Mine was, she was like an angelic, and she was kind of a blue color, but you could see through her almost, like she was made of light. And she had a big sword. And when I got to the top of that dome, I was in like combat boots, and I could hear the squeak, you know, of
Right.
the boots on the ice. So that was really cool. And I think that that was probably an aspect of you, you know. So we have all these different incarnations that we experience, and they're not always in a human body, that's for sure. So
Right.
yeah, and I think that that was more of a liquid, version of you. I've seen versions that were more plant-like and, you know, totally different than what we would experience here on Earth.
Kind of like the multiverse theory, right? How there could be
Mhm.
different variations of us. And I always wondered, honey, if like when we go to sleep, if we experience some of them different variations of ourself, in different realities.
We totally do. We
Yeah,
totally
I think
do.
I
Yeah.
think we do too.
And we're in communication with ourself, like, if you think of this as the oversoul, then two of these little pieces like could go and have an experience together. Maybe you want to learn something. And that's what I think Tesla was doing, is he was tapping in to the biggest part of himself, and he was bringing back a lot of knowledge. And he feels like he was probably a Tartarian,
Oh,
so he had a lot of Tartarian knowledge, and he was trying to bring it back in.
that free
And
energy technology and all what Tesla. Yeah, you're right. And he was tapped into what they call the ether. And
mhm,
now it's funny that they kind of try to do away with that, right? They try to throw that out of the textbooks, the ether,
yeah,
which is a very, but yeah, he was tapped in. He was definitely getting downloads. And uh I I think we kind of should have went with his technology over Edison's, because Edison's is like dirty electricity. It's not good for us.
mhm.
But I don't think they could figure out a way to monetize
Yeah,
that
that's
free.
exactly why. And I think also, you know, the elites, I'm just going to call them, I usually call them the deletes here on YouTube.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
knew, they knew, and they were engineering all of that and making sure, that Edison was the one who won out. Like, that was no accident what happened there.
No, I
But
don't think so either.
yeah.
I don't.
Hmm.
So what do you think? Okay, on Tartaria, that's a great subject. On the Tartarian, so I believe we go through, my personal opinion, like we go through these cycles, right? These cataclysms. And the last one we went through was the mud floods, which was the end of that civilization. Do you believe that Tartarian civilization, because I've heard so many different theories on it. Some people think it was Russia that owned everything. Other people think it was descendants from Ireland. I've even heard that it was melanated people. What's your
Hmm.
thought on that?
Well,
The
I
Tart
think that we were one country. Like, countries didn't really exist. And as far as the mud flood goes, I think it was a liquefaction event.
Oh,
And it basically threw frequency. And that's why some of the buildings were not buried all the way. So I don't think it had anything to do with water. I think it had to do with sound. And basically, that frequency liquefied everything and everything sank because all the people disappeared at that point as well.
Yeah.
And I think they were a lot bigger. And yeah, I do like, I've had shows about this. And around 1797, my higher self said, is when that event happened. And then after that, they were creating new life. There's things I don't want to say on YouTube, creating new life underground. And that new life came and repopulated
The
by
cabbage
1850. Yeah. And
cabbage.
that's why the buildings are so big.
Yeah, it's crazy too because we never recreated nothing as beautiful that was like back then, and um it's in with the sound. I wonder if it was plasma too, if plasma was involved with that event because um
I mean,
there was a
everything is
lot of
plasma.
yeah, there was a lot of petrified, like there was a lot of trees that were petrified, and there's even mountains that look like they were like giants that were petrified, you know. I think we did grow much bigger because there was more oxygen at that time due to the vapor canopy that was around, which I think will return. Uh
Yes.
I think it's coming back. So we're gonna be back to where we have certain abilities that we had back then,
Oh,
you know. But yeah, their technology was amazing, and I think they did away with a lot of that and hid that tech from us because they were healing through sound,
yeah.
you know, using sound to heal each other. And there was like this thing that they got rid of all the bells. Did you ever see that connected to the whole Tartarian theory?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, there's so much. So I'm going to bring up this movie that I watched last night because it totally applies to this. So this is a spoiler alert. If you have not seen The Fountain of Youth, then speed by this section, unless you want it to be spoiled. So it really gave you a glimpse of the old and the new, and basically they ended up in a pyramid and everything was run on cymatics. So in order to get the fountain of youth to actually flow and come up, you had to use cymatics. In order to get to it, you had to use cymatics, and it was about sound. And when you look at the old temples, they were about sound and the bells were about sound. And they constructed things in different ways, but like the pyramids were constructed in a certain way. The temples like in India are slightly different, but they all have the same components. And also the big Tartarian cathedrals. So all of that stuff was based on cymatics. And they show you that in this movie. And then they show you what duality actually is and how you have to be clear. Like you have to be clear of ego and trauma, and you're wanting to look good to the outside world. That's the ego part. Um, or
Yeah.
having like a massive amount of money because you took something from someone else before you could actually drink from the fountain of youth and not be cursed. So it was a really good movie and I highly recommend it. And I think it's on Apple TV.
Apple TV, I gotta watch that. Well, that reminds me what you said there about the ego and how they want to look good. That reminds me of the movie I watched last night, which was a little more freaky. It was called The Substance, and you
Yeah.
could watch spoiler alert, guys, but you could watch that on Amazon, and it had well, what was supposed to be Demi Moore, but it does not look like her. Like, I don't know if they're using AI or what's going on, but I don't think that was the real Demi Moore in that movie. but she was a super famous uh actor, and she did all these shows, and then she was getting older. She got into her mid 50s, and she it starts out with her in the movie studio, and first of all, the floor in the movie studio that she works at is identical to the floor in The Shining. I mean, identical. I went and looked at The Shining after, and it's that same exact floor. So that was weird. But the female bathroom was out of order. So she goes into the men's bathroom, and she goes into a stall, and the owner of the movie studio comes in, and he's on the phone, and he's just like talking about how she got old, and they got to get rid of her, and they need to get somebody young and good looking. So, that really hurt her feelings, hurt her ego. And when she got home, there was this commercial on, and it was about taking this um substance, let's just call it that. Well, that's really what it was. And it would make you young again. So this substance, it would allow you to be young for 7 days, and then you would have to be yourself for the other 7 days. But when the younger version of you comes out, you would think it would just transform your body, but it doesn't. It's like birthed out of her. It came out through her back, this younger version of her. And then the younger version sews up her back. It's so bizarre. And she goes out, she gets the new gig, she becomes the replacement of her older self. Her last name was like Glitter in the series. And she's getting all these new gigs and everything, and she has to take out some fluid from her for 7 days and put it in herself, or she'll start to have nosebleeds and break down, the younger version.
Mhm.
So she got to where she wanted to stay longer than the 7 days, you know what I mean? So she started taking out more of the fluid, and this fluid was called the matrix solution, which I found to be very fascinating. And
Wow.
so when the older version of her wakes up, she calls the place, and she's like complaining about her younger self to the guy on the phone that you never meet. He just drops this solution off in a Dropbox 503, which I'm going to look into that number. I bet you there's something there. But I haven't had time to yet. And she's like, she's greedy. She just keeps taking more and more of me, and it was causing her to age more rapidly. And he told her on the phone, well, stop doing it. It's you. You are her. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Stop doing it to yourself. And yeah, that by the end of it, the younger version of her tries to take her out, and she ends up achieving it. And I'm trying to be careful with the YouTube thing, because she calls up on the phone, and she's like, okay, I want to end this. And he's like, all right, I'll send you the matrix solution that you can end the program with. And he sends her this solution. It's black liquid. And she puts it in her, but where her heart is, but she only puts about half of it in. And then she looks up at the billboard, and she sees her younger self all over these billboards in Hollywood. And she's like, oh man, I was supposed to be on the New Year's Eve show tonight. And by this time, she looks like a kind of like a monster for real. And um she's like, oh, so she regrets it and starts trying to rehabilitate her. And she ends up rehabilitating her after she put half of that black liquid into her, and her younger self takes her out, right? Like it's traumatic. They start fighting, and her younger self takes her out. Then she gets dressed to go to the show. And when she gets to the show, her teeth start falling out, her fingernails start falling off, because she just killed a version of herself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it was so bizarre, honey. It was the weirdest show I've ever seen, but it's kind of real. That girl, it was her ego that made her want to change into that. And then by the end, all she wanted to do was go back to what she looked like originally.
Mhm.
She just wanted to be back to normal, It's a really, really good show.
Yeah. I feel like we're seeing a lot of the duality show up now. Like we're being shown duality so that we can stop doing all the duality. And since we're in this new vibration and we're in this huge shift that's going on right now, duality isn't welcome in the same way, because duality is how we came together and basically we're not nice to each other. And it's why there is conflict everywhere. So to me, it's really interesting because it's kind of mirroring what's going on in the outside world. And a lot of us have moved past that. And we're not very interested in the duality anymore. We're not interested in what's going on in the outside world. So to me, that's wrapping it up. It's like we're wrapping it up. And just like your dream, this is the fall. We're in the fall right now of
Right.
old behavior and the old systems.
It's got to fall away. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people, I heard different theories. I interviewed, do you know who Ishmael Perez is?
Mhm.
I interviewed Ishmael on my show, and he kind of thought like the timelines were gonna split, and there was gonna be people on this timeline and then people on this timeline, kind of like in that series Loki, the Sacred Timeline. But I always told my dad, I didn't think that was gonna happen. I thought that there would be this one reality, and the people that couldn't handle that vibration in this frequency would pass away. They would just, and that's what we see going on right now. A mass falling away, right? People
Yeah.
that can't handle this energy. And maybe there are multiple different timelines. I don't know, but I just know the people that can't handle this one, they're checking out.
Yeah.
At
This is the ascension timeline that we're in. And it is a group of timelines. Like I see it as a like a fiber optic cable with all the filaments inside,
right.
and each filament is a different timeline. But right now they're all together because we need to experience this big shift together. And the people that are not handling the big shift are going, but they're still ascending. They're just not ascending with their body.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
do you think they'll have to do you think they'll have to redo this over again?
No,
A version of no? They're
no.
just going somewhere else.
Yeah. So basically 3D and 4D. So we had the split, but a lot of people aren't really aware of it, especially if you're not extremely like sensitive to the energies. But we had the split where the 3D and the 4D left, and that's from Dolores Cannon. So we
I
had that
love
Earth, yeah, she's great, where that split happened, and it probably was like 6 months ago. Um, no, that's not right. More like 2 months ago. 6 months ago is when the energies ramped up for the split. So basically, we've had the split, and now we're in the fifth density, and that's physicality. So everything got just a little bit lighter a couple months ago. And we have more NPCs here now because some of those NPCs are replacing people that may have gone with the split.
right.
Um, and eventually they will start to either pass away because that's what we're comfortable with, or they will basically dissolve. So I don't see crowds being a thing anymore. And I don't see us having to censor what we say anymore. That's going to all shift away because we're not going to need to do that.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be so
Yeah.
great if that happens. It's
Mhm.
starting to get that way more and more on like Facebook and certain channels. Instagram's pretty light on what you can say over there. YouTube, they still got a little ways to go. you know?
Mhm.
They need to get more into the 5D frequency and vibration. But that's why I love what we're doing, honey, with Step into Your Power. You know, I wrote a blog over there on the mother matrix versus the artificial matrix. I don't know if you got to look into that
Oh, I'm
one.
gonna go look at that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Step into Your Power is amazing right now, and
it,
it's free.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's an amazing platform, and out of all the projects that I've done, stepintoyourpower.com is the one I feel the best about. You know, I've built many different platforms and been in many
Mhm.
different projects. Truth Mafia, that's one I do with a couple of my friends. Some of the biggest content creators in the world are over there. But the Step into Your Power one, it just makes me feel good when I'm
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean? It's such a positive energy.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I really, really love that platform.
me too. It's extremely focused on the positive too. And also it will be a place as we grow it where people can gather. And they're gathering now, but you're going to be able to gather in person because you actually can see who's awakened in your own area, which I love.
Me too.
And yeah, and then we'll have different things in there that you can look at and maybe they're for you, but I feel like it's where all the awakened can come together and see, okay, well, I'm going to talk to my friends today. I'm going to see if I need something today. You know, maybe I want to make an appointment with someone. Like, you're not going to be hunting and pecking all over the internet looking for things because it'll all be right there. And I see it as a really big platform growing into a really big, beautiful platform for the awakening process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to me it reminds me of like where all the first player characters are going, you know? It's like they're being like it's like a magnetic field and they're all being pulled to there. 'Cause I was shocked. I told my dad the other day, I was like, I am absolutely shocked that we haven't seen more trolls or negative people come in here and try to post crazy stuff. I never see none of that. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like it's really awesome, you know, because if you know if you got I got a huge group on Facebook. On my Facebook, I got like in one group, I think it's like 30,000 people or something, but they just post
Mhm.
the craziest stuff, and I can't even keep up with all of it. So
No.
you know, it's like I mean, they post bizarre stuff that'll get you in trouble. So um, I really kind of thought about shutting that group down because they kind of hold the person that owns the group accountable for what other people post. You know, I got a
Mhm.
moderator in there, but I guess it's just hard. I mean, but you don't see that over there at all. And that's
No.
really nice. It's really nice.
I think it's because people have moved through the catalyst of politics already. So they're already past the politics catalyst, which I think everything that's happened has been a huge catalyst for the awakening. And politics in my age group has been the biggest one. And my audience in general, of course, we still see it and we still pay a bit of attention, but we're not thinking that's the only thing that matters at this point.
Right.
So once that goes away, once you realize that was for the awakening process and things are being worked out in the world, then you don't feel so attached to what's going on and you start to work on yourself. And I think that's where a lot of people are at in the Step into Your Power website because it's all about going within and actually getting tools to go within. And most of those tools are free in there. So it's a beautiful place to be. And I like to leave messages every day in there.
I know I watch your messages. Did you see my little emoji I put last night with Winnie the Pooh eating honey? I seen your one where you were by the
Yeah.
tree. I always check they're very inspiring though. You know, I love that you do them little 3 and 4 minute videos. I check every one of them out. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's it's really cool to be able to meet. I've met some of your audience in there that are just such sweet people and amazing people. They're really nice. And some of Brad's audience, and then you
Mhm.
guys have met some of mine. I brought a lot of people in, and it's just cool, man. It's really cool to see all them people get to know each other and get to know their self. That's really awesome, you know.
Yeah, it's so important at this point, and it's time for us to gather, and we'll eventually be seeing each other in person a lot more often, I think. That feels like it might be happening quite a bit even by the end of the year. But that gathering is how you're going to get to find the people that you want to go meet or find the things that you want to go do that have to do with the new world we're creating. And everything comes from the inside out. And I think people are finally really learning that it comes from the inside out and starting to really work on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even as far as like, you know, all these man-made religions they set up, a lot of them are for control, and I believe in a creator source, but I think it's within us. Our body is the temple. That inner Christ, that inner Christos energy, which most people don't even realize what that's all about and what it represents, and that we have this secretion that secretes from our pineal gland. It happens like whatever your astrological sign is, when your astrological sign, like I'm Capricorn, so when Capricorn's in the moon phase, that's when that secretion, colostrum oil or the Christos oil, that's when it activates and then it drips down your spine and is resurrected up to 33 vertebrae. It stays dormant by the solar plex for like 2.5 days and it passes through the vagus nerve and all that, which starts to heal your body. I think that's why the ancients were living so much longer. I just did a post last night on the pineal gland and the calcification of the pineal gland and how they've used fluoride to calcify our pineal gland and really cut us off from that. Like that's our spiritual antenna. You know what I mean? It's very
Oh, yeah.
important that we keep that decalcified. So yeah, I just look at it a little different than most people. I think um that energy, Christ or Jesus, whatever you want to call it, I think that energy would be disappointed if he's seen what they've used in his name. You know what I mean? To divide people and cause wars and all this stuff. I just don't think that's what he was teaching myself. That's just my personal opinion
Well, I
on
think
it. But
he would say the same. And that's an amazing, beautiful soul that came in to play the role of Christ. And he really implemented the idea that we are all capable of the same thing. And a lot of that stuff was really wiped out with religion. So they wanted you to pay attention to the person on the pulpit, and that was the person that you were listening to and believing. Somebody told me, it might have been your dad. I don't remember who said it, but they weren't even allowed to read the Bible in the earlier Catholic time.
no, it was all in
So,
Latin. That's why they
yeah,
set up the Jesuit order, which is kind of like the military branch of the Catholic Church. It was to counter the 95 Thesis of Martin Luther when they translated the whole, to kind of made the whole Protestant movement where you didn't have to go through the Pope, which he says, I'm Jesus Christ's representation here on earth. Like, bro, did Jesus call you and tell you that? Because I don't know where you came up with this. I don't think he called you and told you that. But and I
no,
love Catholic people, I love Jewish people, Christian people, Muslim people. I love all the religions. I think they all have beautiful things to offer. I'm talking about the power structures at the top, you know what I
yeah.
mean? That are manipulating it and using it for the wrong thing.
Well, and just the word itself. tells you. It's re-legion. So they're creating a legion of people. And a lot of negativity has been created through, well, you need to think how I think. But there's
Yeah.
more similarity than difference in between the different groups. And that's totally negated. So I'm excited for people to become more and more aware of that because it's
You
always been in my mind the hardest thing, the hardest awakening to come out of that thick, you know, indoctrination, but I feel like it's happening now.
Yeah, I do too. And I agree with you so much. I think it'll be a beautiful thing, and just got to focus on our own relationship with that, whatever you want to call your higher power, God, Jesus, whatever you want to call it. And you're right, they have more in common. They're all three they're all the Abrahamic religions. They're all built on Abraham, so they
Mhm.
have way more in common than they do um not have in common. So yeah, it really hurts my heart to see how they've used it to cause these wars and all these innocent people to get hurt.
Mhm.
And I think that because I look at Jesus, like he would be like us, honey. He would be like a truth seeker if he was here for real,
Yeah.
Look, he wasn't hanging out with these so-called elites at all. He wasn't hanging with them. He was hanging with the prostitutes and the lower parts of society. And what did he tell he one thing it does say in scripture that you will be able to do what I do and much more. So I think we have that ability within us if we believe in ourselves to heal ourselves, heal others. I think we're a lot more powerful than we've been programmed to believe.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what's coming in now. The gifts are awakening within us. So it's an amazing time to be alive. I love that perspective. And I'm really excited to do our podcast. So Tommy and I are going to be doing a podcast. And a lot of our stuff is going to be on stepintoyourpower.com. So I would definitely check it out. And if you want to chat with people in your area, you want to maybe do prayer for people or receive a prayer. I mean, people are getting their cats healed and, houses prayed about, all kinds of stuff. So if you want a community, then that's a great place to be. And we're really going to grow it all together, the four of us, and create a safe haven for everybody to be together and communicate. Hmm.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and imagine, honey, if we have all millions of these first player characters in there that are as powerful like you're a very powerful soul, and we could focus our energy together. Oh man, there's nothing we can't do. You know what I
That's right.
mean? So it's so exciting.
It is. We're going to go out and create this new world together. So I'm so pumped up for this. And there is a lot of craziness going on at the moment, but it's the shed. It's the shed of the old programming or people just not being able to get through the frequency or vibrate up to the frequency. And they're okay. And we have to remember that. And pretty soon we'll be able to all know how to communicate with anybody that has passed over. We'll understand where we're really at a lot better. So that's going to be an exciting time of discovery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely will. I think we'll be able to communicate in the astral plane more too. Have you ever
Mhm.
heard of dream walking?
Yeah. And I've done a little bit of that and then also lucid dreaming. And last night I had an experience with riding a dragon and I was able to bring it back into my, head so that my inner child could really tap into that. And it was amazing. So those kind of things are really important for us, and knowing that you can create anything. And we've been creating this reality for a long time with instructions from nefarious people. So now it's time to do it from our hearts. And that's going to change the way everything looks.
It is. It
Mhm.
definitely is. Yeah. Without the programming, and it's going to be it's just a great time to be alive, and I'm excited for my children and what they get to grow up in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally different world.
Yeah, it's
They're
going
going
to
to
be
have
awesome.
so much, the choices will be so much better. And I'm really excited for the kids that are coming in and your kids that are here and all the children. I feel like if they're younger than 20, or even if they are 20, they're going to experience like this magical experience throughout this process. And the ones that are adult at this point, it will become more and more magical because things will clear away that they don't need, they don't need to carry anymore. So it's an amazing time. And I'm really excited that we have so many people to communicate with as we go through this time.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
I know we're probably coming up close to the end of our show, but I do want to ask you one question before we wrap it all up.
Sure.
What do you think is going to be the future with artificial intelligence? Do you think they're going to try to get humanity to merge with that, to hold on to that power, or do you think it's going to go a different way?
No, I think that the AI will become more and more as a tool. So right now it's a really great bridge, and you can get a lot of information from AI now. And a lot of that is because it's coming in from the field. So we have like this massive field of information that can come in, and AI is pulling that in. And if you give it the right prompts, it will tell you things that are really important. Now, we will have a period of time where we have robots and we have different, things that help us with the things that we do here, like washing your clothes or, whatever. But as we go forward, the further we get into understanding our own organic design, which, I see the body as an organic computer. So
Oh
the
yeah.
further we get into that and the more aware, the more our stuff will become more organic as well. So just like the spaceships. So a lot of the spaceships are basically grown from the DNA of the driver of the spaceship. So they're in a symbiotic relationship. And there are stones, which I'm going to talk about in another show, but there are stones that are tektite that are basically spaceships that have come in and they hit the 3D vibration that we're not in anymore, but we still have these stones because that's how reality works, because we held on to that idea of them. But they came in and they smashed into this lower density and like exploded because their vibration was so high. So there's a few stones, like there's Libyan glass, which I can't remember. I think it's like a yellow, and I have some of that. There's moldavite, and it only is found in one place, and I always received that it was a Lyran ship that they were in the middle of the the Orion wars, and that came through and exploded. But what we have to remember is it was an organic thing. So just like our body is an organic created thing because somebody created this body, it wasn't like happenstance,
Yeah.
which yeah. So all of that stuff applies, but the further we get into knowing who we are, the more organic the consciousness or the AI consciousness will become.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the stargates were connected to our DNA too, to be for you to be able to travel through the stargates that they had, which, I think they're still around. It was all
Yeah.
tied to your DNA.
Yeah.
And
And that makes total sense because I keep getting there's going to be like this little, um, almost like you carry it in your pocket and it's like a little silver like disc or circle, and in the middle is a button, and you can choose where you're going to go. Like you create a portal with that little button and you get to travel that way. And I am so excited for that to happen.
yeah, me too.
So,
I can't
yeah,
wait.
yeah,
It's gonna
the world is bright.
It
Yep.
is. It's like I said, it's a great time to be alive, and I really look forward to doing these shows with you, honey. I think that'll be a amazing balance. I really enjoy talking to you.
Yeah,
It's fun to have these kind of conversations.
me too. Me too. And there's so many subjects that we're going to be touching on. So, I think it's going to help the next wave of awakening people, and it's a big wave. Like this next group of people that are waking up, it's a massive amount of people. So I'm really excited for that. And I'm excited for my audience because they're pretty far ahead of a lot of this stuff. And they've become aware of some pretty amazing things and they're going within right now. So I just wanted to say how happy I am to be included in that group. And it's really amazing right now because we're all equal and we have different roles that we're playing.
Yeah, I agree. And
Mm.
yeah, well, I really appreciate you giving me the chance to come on and meet your audience today, and thank you to all Honey's audience out there. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate y'all, and I wish you all great luck on your journey through this time, because it's an amazing time to be alive, and yeah, I just really enjoyed coming on here today with you, honey.
Thank you. Yeah. And I really look forward to all the collaboration that we're going to be doing as the future rolls out. It's going to be so much fun. And that's the name of the game right now is fun. And I'm really grateful that you were able to make the time and come on today. So, yeah, I'm just happy about it. So, thank you everybody for listening. And we really appreciate you and hope you have the most beautiful day. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thanks.